For many of you, this is going to be a very difficult question because you don't know the rule at play here. You might think that this is just about style, right? Their wording is changing in these answer choices. What's the best sounding way to say the sentence? But this new SAT does not really do that. They don't really test style as much as the old SAT did. So we're really applying rules on all of these questions. So the rule here, for me, is very easy to notice because I can see that they're kind of changing the wording, but I also see that at the beginning of our actual sentence, we have this clause. I'll use pink here because normally I highlight these in pink to indicate that these are extra clauses, right? They're not part of the main sentence. We use them plus the comma to add them on to the main sentence. It's exactly what it's doing here. But I'm going to specifically say that it's also a modifier. It's giving us extra information about something. And so it's very important that whatever it's giving us extra information about is the first thing that we talk about in that blank. So let's before we look at the choices, let's just think about here what we're saying. In assessing the films of Japanese director Akira Kurosawa, okay, we're talking about someone assessing. So someone, a person, seems to be doing the assessing here. So that's kind of what I'm expecting to be the first thing that we talk about. So choice A, many critics have focused on Kurosawa's use of Western literary sources, but have missed his equally deep engagement with Japanese artistic traditions, such as no theater. Okay, so critics are people. So the critics are doing the assessing of the director, right? That actually makes sense, and they're the first thing. So that seems like a really promising choice. Let's compare that to the others and see maybe that helps us understand why that's the best. So B, Kurosawa's use of Western literary sources. Well, Kurosawa's use of sources cannot assess his own films. That doesn't make any sense. We're following the modifier with a completely different thing. Sometimes this is called a dangling modifier or a misplaced modifier. The idea, though, is that we have the wrong thing leading off this sentence. We want it to be the exact thing that we were just describing in this pink clause. We need that to be the first thing that we talk about. This is a weird thing. I don't even know how it would make sense for the use of sources to assess the films of that director. C, there are many critics who have focused on Kurosawa's use of Western literary sources, but they have missed his equally deep engagement with Japanese artistic traditions such as no theater. Okay, this is going to feel right to many of you. The problem is that even though critics are kind of near the beginning, they're not actually the beginning. There are. It's not really a thing at all. But that's the problem, right? We've set this sentence up so that first thing after the comma is the people who are doing the assessing. And it's technically not here. So this is probably something that would sound okay to you, but is grammatically wrong. It's not a style issue here. It is breaking a grammar rule. And D, the focus of many critics, well, that's sneaky because it seems like it's talking about the critics. And you might think, well, this is okay, right? They're focused on assessing his work. So this makes logical sense. But no, you can't do that. The rule is not this flexible. If the modifier is talking about something, that has to be the first thing that comes after that comma, right? So only A actually involves the critics coming after the comma. This is really a tough rule because I think it's very difficult to recognize, and we probably get this rule wrong when we talk a lot. So it's not something that we can hear as well as maybe some other rules. My advice, though, is try to turn the modifier into a question, and the answer to that question is what we want to talk about in our choice, right? So in assessing the films of Japanese director Akira Kurosawa, who is assessing the films of Japanese director Akira Kurosawa? The critics. And that is why choice A is right. It starts with the critics.